My name is the Archivist. The year is 2033. We believe memory is a record of the past, a library of personal truths. But a memory is not a stone tablet. It is a story the mind tells itself. It can be edited, corrupted, or even stolen. And sometimes a single toxic memory can become a virus, infecting those who never lived it. Today's file is about the anatomy of such a memory of a murder that belonged to everyone and no one. Welcome back to the archive. This is file number 2201, The Color of Betrayal. The case begins with a ghost from the past. 15 years ago, the philanthropist Alistair Finch was murdered in his study. A classic whodunit. No forced entry, no weapon, a dozen suspects with weak alibis, but no hard evidence. It was the city's most famous cold case, a perfect, unsolved crime. Until last Tuesday, a man named David Chen, a quiet schoolteacher, walked into the 17th precinct and confessed to the murder. He was calm, remorseful, and his confession was flawless. He knew details that were never released to the public. The brand of scotch on Finch's desk, the rare book that lay open, and the specific, unusual color of the victim's silk tie. A color he described as the blue of a dying star. The case was finally solved. Except, on the exact same day, at the exact same hour, in a city 1,000 miles away, a construction worker named Marcus Thorne walked into his local police station and gave the exact same, word-for-word confession. He, too, described the scotch, the book, and the tie, the color of a dying star. And across the country, a third man, a retired librarian, did the same. This is the file that landed on Detective Isabelle Varga's desk. 3 men, in 3 different cities, with no connection to each other or to the victim, had all confessed to being the sole killer in a 15-year-old murder. All 3 had ironclad alibis for the original night of the crime. None of them could have possibly done it. Yet, they all possessed the same, perfect, impossible memory. Varga's investigation was a journey into the surreal. She interviewed all 3 men. They were not lying, not in any sense she understood. They were tormented by guilt for a crime they believed they had committed. They wept, they had nightmares, they expressed a profound remorse. They were 3 perfect suspects for a single, impossible crime. The media called it a copycat phenomenon, a case of mass hysteria. But Varga knew it was something else. The details were too specific, the confessions too identical. This wasn't imitation. This was replication. She began to deconstruct the lives of the 3 confessors. What did a teacher, a construction worker, and a librarian have in common? For weeks, she found nothing, until she dug into their recent medical histories. All 3 men, in the last 6 months, had been patients at the same, exclusive and highly controversial neurological clinic. A clinic called Clarity. Clarity was run by a familiar name from our archives, Dr. Eris Thorne. After the Kronos anomaly incident, her government funding was revoked, but she had taken her research private. Her clinic offered a radical, expensive therapy for patients with severe PTSD. It promised to erase traumatic memories, to give its patients a blank slate. Varga found Dr. Thorne in her minimalist, white office. Eris was older now, her brilliance sharpened by a cynical edge. She denied everything. "My technology is therapeutic, detective," she stated coolly. "It isolates and suppresses the neural pathways of traumatic memory. To help the patient's mind heal, we use a library of benign, generic memories to fill the void. A walk on a beach, the taste of a good meal. We are healing people, not creating criminals." Varga knew the truth was hidden in Thorne's machine. With a federal warrant, she and a team of neurodata specialists entered Clarity and began a full analysis of the memory library. For 2 days, they sifted through terabytes of benign memories. And then they found it. Buried deep in a corrupted sector of the server, mislabeled as a landscape simulation, was a single, vivid, and highly detailed memory file. The file was a first-person recording. It was the memory of walking into Alistair Finch's study, of the argument, of picking up a heavy crystal decanter, of the final, terrible act. And it was a memory of looking down at the body, at the silk tie, the color of a dying star. It was the memory of the murder, recorded from the killer's point of view. The therapy wasn't just suppressing trauma. It was accidentally implanting a new one. The memory of the Finch murder had somehow become a virus in her system, a ghost in her machine, occasionally leaking out and overriding the minds of her other patients. The three men didn't commit the murder. They had simply been infected by its memory. But this raised an even more profound question. Who was the original owner of that memory? Who was the real killer, and how did his memory get into Dr. Thorne's machine? Varga confronted heiress Thorne with the file, and Thorne, seeing her life's work about to be destroyed, finally confessed the truth. Her clinic's origin story. Years ago, before Clarity, I had one secret patient, Eris explained, her voice devoid of emotion. He was a wealthy, powerful man, tormented by a single act of rage in his past. A crime he had gotten away with. He didn't want forgiveness. He wanted erasure. He paid me a fortune to be my first human trial, to see if I could truly remove a memory, a single toxic event, from a human mind. The patient was the real killer of Alistair Finch. The procedure worked. Eris continued. I isolated the memory of the murder. The sight, the sound, the feeling. I extracted it from his neural pathways and stored it as a raw data file on my server. I wiped his mind clean of the event. He walked out of my lab a free man, a man who, in his own mind, was truly innocent. Eris had intended to delete the toxic memory file, but it was the source code of her entire science, the proof of her genius. So she kept it buried deep in her system, a secret trophy. When she founded Clarity, she built her library of benign memories around it. But over the years, the powerful, violent memory had begun to corrupt the system like a digital cancer. It had started to leak, to replicate, to attach itself to the therapy protocols of other patients. Varga now had the full, monstrous picture. But what was the crime? Who was the criminal? The three men who confessed were innocent victims. The real killer, his memory wiped, was legally and mentally no longer the same person who committed the crime 15 years ago. And Dr. Thorne, she hadn't implanted the memory on purpose. She had been recklessly, criminally negligent. But was she a murderer? The file on the three killers was closed. The men were released, their memories suppressed once more by Dr. Thorne's technology, though their lives were forever altered. Dr. Thorne's clinic was shut down, her research classified at the highest level. The real killer, whose name remains a redacted blank in this file, was never prosecuted. There was no memory to try, no evidence left to present. This file is a chilling examination of the anatomy of guilt. If you erase the memory of a crime, did the crime truly happen? Who is the real murderer? The one who commits the act, or the one who hides the memory of it? The case of the color of betrayal suggests that a memory itself can be a crime scene, a weapon, and a ghost, haunting not just the mind that created it, but any mind it touches.